dentist. Use as directed when brushing and flossing aren't enough.
89 points LASFM. As we get a new block of sponsors, we're very excited about Listerine. And our next sponsor, which I'm really, really excited for because it's my favorite product in the world, but you'll hear about them in a moment. But before we go forward, we must deal with breaking news in the world of sports. That's right, folks. Because of the collapse and probably other reasons that gone into as time allows, Frank step down as the Boston Red Sox. He said 8-year time is plenty of time. He feels as if the message has gotten old there, and that the players need a new voice in their ears. Personally, I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I mean, the one thing I don't like about our culture today, we seem to get rid of things too quickly, or we seem to leave things too quickly. I recall a year ago when Jim Riegelman, earlier this year, Jim Riegelman had the Nationals playing good baseball. They had won some insane, like 13 out of 14 straight games or something like that, and he resigned for some crazy reason. And I think Terry Francona's resignation is also foolish because, you know, he's the person, in my opinion, who's made this Yankee-Red Sox rivalry what it's become. Prior to Francona becoming the manager of the Red Sox, it was the Yankees always beating the Red Sox. And ever since he's taken over the helm, the Red Sox have won 2 World Series. Boston has become the city of champions with the Celtics, with the Bruins, and with the Patriots all winning titles. I think this is a hasty move. Maybe, like I said, there's more to this. Maybe it's just a health thing. Maybe it's just, you know, it's time for a change. But you know what? This not like it's, you know, real life. This is just baseball. And personally, I think that this decision that he made is foolish. I think he should have just, you know, taken the off season. Yes, the Red Sox had to make a decision in the next 10 days on his contract status, but he is not the reason why the Red Sox failed. He is definitely not, I'll say that again, he is definitely not the reason why the Red Sox failed. The Red Sox failed because of injuries. They didn't have Kevin Youkilis in their lineup. They didn't have certain pitchers prepared to pitch, and they burnt out their bullpen. I mean, this guy Bard, his arm was going to fall. The guy's throwing 100 miles an hour. Well, people get used to seeing it. You know, Beckett was just coming off of missing a start because of some problems he had, and same thing with Lester. And so the fact of the matter is, it's devastating to the sport of baseball to lose a man like that because he is a quality manager and a quality person. And I'll tell you something about the sports world these days. We've lost Sidney Crosby, might have to retire from hockey because of concussions. Peyton Manning, the face of football, is out for the season because of his neck injury, because of the lockout, not being able to be around his team to train. And now Terry Francona, gone from the Red Sox. It's a big deal, folks. Don't minimize it, because we all know in the baseball universe, there really only is 2 teams. It's the Red Sox and the Yankees, you know, according to the people who cover it. We know about the Angels, and we know about the Dodgers out here, but the fact of the matter remains that baseball is a good sport when the Yankees and Red Sox are good. And because the Yankees and Red Sox have been good for the past decade, interest in baseball has shot up. And to lose Terry Francona is a huge deal. And we'll be back on 89.7 KLASFM to do our show the way we normally do, with the good, the bad, and the ugly. This falls under the category as ugly to me because we've lost a good man in sports. And if he goes to the Cubs or if he goes to the White Sox, it's not going to be the same. It's just not good, because the Cubs will always be lovable losers, and the White Sox, well, Ozzie going to the Marlins is okay, but it's just not the same, folks. Baseball suffered a big loss today, and those playoffs have just started. I think this loss is bigger than the playoffs, and so we'll be back to talk sports about the good, the bad, the ugly on 89.7 KLASFM after this message from my favorite product in the world. You'll hear it in a second.
Hello, Pringles 800 number.
Yeah, hi. You made a mistake with my Pringles.
Sir?
See, it says fat-free on the can, but they don't taste fat-free.
Sir, if it says fat-free original Pringles, that's what they are.
Listen, talk to my wife. Blanche!
Yeah, hi. You made a mistake.
No, ma'am. Fat-free Pringles are made with Olean. That's why they taste just as good with no fat and half the calories.
No way. I know when it's missing that fakey no-fat taste. Listen, I'll mail you one. You taste it.
New fat-free Pringles. Tasting is believing.
89.7 KLASFM. My name is Richard Harris. I love me some Pringles. And in fact, when I turned 40, I was like, you know, the perfect birthday gift for me from somebody would be stocking Pringles. But it didn't happen. Someday, maybe. And now, folks, we will talk about the good. Well, week 3 in the National Football League was some validation for some teams. Matt Hasselbeck is turning the clock back as he's had back-to-back weeks of 300-yard passing performances. And if the Titans can ever start running the football, they actually could be dangerous because their defense is playing smart football. New Orleans and Green Bay are going to score a lot of points, folks. And if you can't defend them, you're going to get taken to the woodshed week in and week out. And if you don't pack your offense, it might have your defense because their offense is just going to outscore you. Cam Newton got his first win as a pro. Congratulations, Cam Newton. You know, you didn't have gaudy stats, but a win is a win. And even the Seattle Seahawks won their first game, folks. The Seattle Seahawks, in my opinion, right now are the worst team in football, even though I know they're teams who don't have wins yet. Seattle has not shown me anything. And even though they won 13-10 last week, not that impressed. But now, we're going to talk about the fwampfwamp 3 teams of the week. And here they are. The Detroit Lions, of course, is on everyone's list. Detroit winning games that they have this season in the fashion they have, come from behind last week, ending a 15-game losing streak to the Minnesota Vikings, is impressive. Calvin Johnson is a beast. Just throw the ball up. He's always open. And you can't say anything bad about that because it's a fact. The New York Football Giants is team number 2. The Giants finally beat the Eagles after losing 7 straight to them. They bruised not only the psyche of the Eagles, but they beat up Michael Vick. They made Michael Vick do some complaining, which we'll talk about later on. The Giants still have a lot of injuries on defense and on offense. And with playing Arizona this week, you know, they just better bring their offense with them and score some points because they're going to have to. And it's also thrilling that the Giants utilize a player from my alma mater, the University of Massachusetts, Victor Cruz, who I thought had a really strong preseason to help dominate and win this game. He had 3 unbelievable catches, breaking tackles on his first touchdown of 70 yards, and then just out fighting Asamoah for the other touchdown. Big win for the Giants. Because now every team in that division has got 2 wins except for the Eagles. But the Eagles will turn it around, we all know. But the number 1 team in this division, and of the top 3 teams of this week, in my opinion, has to be the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo beating New England isn't the story. It's how they beat New England. Tom Brady had already thrown, you know, last season, I believe, he threw 8 interceptions all season long. He threw 4 in this game. And also, the Bills just showed a desire and a fight to get this job done. And I'm very proud that they've done this with my guy, Fred Jackson, who just continues to just pile up stats, whether it's through running the ball or receiving it. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws for 300 yards every week, it seems. And just enjoy the Bills for now, because we all know as the weather gets cooler, the wind starts to blow in, and you know they're going to play some tough teams on the road and stuff. That's when we'll start taking the Bills seriously. That's why we keep giving Detroit and Buffalo all this love now, because essentially we all know that the schedule's going to get tougher. Who do I think is more likely to continue on? I think Detroit's more likely to continue on just because Buffalo has just got a really tough schedule this year. They got to play the NFC East. And I just think Detroit really has the right formula. Buffalo can't be falling behind in games 21-0 or 21-3 and think they're going to win every week. It's just not going to happen. And I found a crazy stat out about Buffalo and Detroit that's interesting, is that since the turn of the century, Buffalo and Detroit are the only 2 teams that have not played in the postseason. Think about that for a second. So, you know, maybe they're trying to, you know, wake up the echoes of the 90 teams that used to be really solid. But I got to give them both dap for what they've done so far. Some more good. The baseball season is over, and congratulations to the Philadelphia Phillies, Milwaukee Brewers, Arizona Diamondbacks, and St. Louis Cardinals for making the playoffs. All 4 of those teams won over 90 games, so you can't say it was a fluke. And yes, we'll talk about the Braves later on, but you can't say it's a fluke when all 4 teams win 90 games. They should be in the playoffs if you win 90 games in baseball. Congrats to the Yankees, the Tigers, the Rangers, and the Rays for just playing, you know, 162 strong baseball games. Detroit was trailing Cleveland a lot during the season and just took it over in the second half. The Rangers battled the Angels and humiliated the Angels on the last day. But Mike Napoli hit that home run to clinch the second seed, but it's not doing the Rangers any good right now as they're getting taken to the woodshed by the Rays. I think the Yankees, the Yankees are playing at another level, folks. They're not even pitching great. They just know how to win games. And I think the same thing for Tampa Bay. It's going to be a fun playoffs in the American League. And hopefully, we'll get the same excitement that we got on the last day of the season throughout the whole postseason. My awards for the American League are very simple. I think Verlander is the MVP. Is the Cy Young. I think he's had an unbelievable season. I think had he won that last start, I probably would have given him the MVP. But for my money, if I'm paying to watch a baseball game every day, I'm paying to see Robinson Cano play. Yes, Granderson has more home runs and so does Teixeira. But the Yankees know the glue to that team is Cano. If Cano plays well, the Yankees tend to win. And I think that's why he's my MVP. I think that he's just been sensational all season long. And the fact that he drove in 118 runs, hit almost 30 home runs, batted over 300, speaks volumes. I think the National League MVP is Matt Kemp. I don't care what anyone says about playing on a team that didn't make the playoffs. What the Dodgers have gone through this season, he deserves, everyone's vote. To be top 3 in batting average, first in home runs, first in RBIs. Enough said, folks. He's the MVP. And in my opinion, if he doesn't win the award, it's a scandal. I think Clayton Kershaw is a Cy Young Award winner as well. Yes, Ian Kennedy is 21-4 and he's pitching in the postseason. But Clayton Kershaw has been absolutely spectacular the second half of the season. I don't think he's lost in the second half of the season. The American League's Rookie of the Year, I think, goes to Trumbo out here in Anaheim. I know Hellickson had a good year for Tampa Bay, but the Angels would be nowhere without Mr. Trumbo. Ever since they put him in the lineup and they put him in a position where he can drive in runs, they did very well. And the National League Rookie of the Year, no question, is Mr. Kimbrel. Kimbrel deserves the award just because of the fact that as a rookie, he had over 40 saves, had a rookie record in the National League. He just burnt out towards the end. And unfortunately, his team didn't make it to the postseason. But, he learned a lot this year and learned a lot last year towards the end of the season when he was learning how to be a closer when Billy Wagner was on the team. It's just a shame that the Braves just could not get it done. It's as simple as that. And there you have my baseball synopsis in a nutshell. Managers of the Year. The jury's still out for me because I really don't credit, a lot of what happened this season to a few teams. Obviously, Detroit, in my opinion, Jim Leyland deserves a lot of credit. But I don't know, how they're going to think about that. But I think Jim Leyland deserves the award in the American League and in the National League. It's a tough call for me because I got to think about this more. But Kirk Gibson, took Arizona from out of nowhere and got him in the playoffs. And we'll be back to finish off the good on 89.7 KLES FM after this.
All of your auto repairs, including expert collision.